Okay, so I'm going to show you how to blur a background in a very simple way. So first you open up your picture, whatever you want to use. You make sure to double click on the background to make sure the layer is not locked. So I'm going to name this one original. So then you're going to make a duplicate. So you're going to drag it right here where it has like a little box. Looks like a little paper, so that's going to duplicate it. You click on it and then you're going to rename it blur. Okay, so then we're going to start doing our blur. So then you're going to add first you're going to do the blur. So you go to filter, blur, lens blur. So for me, it's already, since I've done it before, it's already preset to the numbers that I like as far. Depending on the picture, I'll edit it less. So right here where it says radius, it kind of minimizes the blur. So if you don't want something too harsh, then you can minimize it. This is like super blurry. So it just depends on your preference. I usually leave it like around 65. And then all of these right here, I really just leave them really low, just because this is how I like how it looks. The threshold, I always put it the highest. And then the amount of noise, I don't really mess with this, because if you do, it does like this staticky looking thing, so just take that. I leave it on Gaussian blur. Gaussian, I really don't know how to say it. But anyways, so it's really up to you as far as these, what you want to mess with these. The same thing with the shape of the iris. So I have it on pentagon. And I always left it there, but you can always experiment. So then you press OK. So then there you go, it's blurred. But as you can see, the whole image is blurred. So what we want is like a gradual blur. So for that, you're going to make a layer mask. So you're still going to have your blur selected. Click on it, says add layer mask. So it's going to be white. Right here, you're going to go to gradient tool. It's under the little eraser. Or if you see the little paint bucket, sometimes it might be defaulted to the paint bucket. So just click on it and press gradient tool. Then you're gonna see a little X, or a little cross, I mean. And then, sorry, clicked the wrong thing. You're gonna make a line. So as you can see, it's doing the blur, but it's taking off some of it from the bottom. So you can always come back and adjust this later on. So I think for us, we might leave it right here. Maybe higher, like that. But we still have a bit of a blur, or a lot of blur on our subject. So for that, we go back to the original layer, we make another copy. So right here it says original copy, but we're gonna move it on top of the blur. So now it just looks like this. So what you want is a combination of blur and a bit of the original image. So we're gonna rename this one selection. So you're on your selection layer. Then what you're gonna do is that you're gonna go to your selection, or your quick selection tool. It says quick selection tool. You click on it, and then you can use the minus, and then you just start, oh sorry, not minus, I'm in the plus. And then you start adding or selecting your image, or in this case your subject, right? So we're getting this little girl, little pretty girl. We also want to include her little chair with the flowers. We're trying not to get so much of the grass in the background because we still want all of that to be blurred. It always happens to me. Let's see. Okay. Ugh. So I do them. You can use the little minus in case it like overdoes it, kind of like it did with me. And I'm sure you can use another tool. I just always use this one. Okay. So it's okay. It's not super perfect, but just fine. It doesn't have to be. I just want to make sure that I have her selected. Okay. So once the subject is selected, you go to, where do you go to? I'm getting blank right now. Oh yeah, you're gonna click on Refine Edge. So then she will be selected and everything else around her is red. So here you mess with this and you're gonna see how it changes everything. So I'm leaving it at 0 just so you can see how it starts to move. Okay, so I'm okay with that. You still see some red on her, but we're gonna fix that. So then the output, you're gonna go to Layer Mask and OK. There you go. So you see the background is blurred and she's not as much, but you can still see that she's still blurry on some areas, and some of the other stuff in the picture is not in focus, is blurred. You don't want that. So we're gonna work on her hair. So then you make sure you click your selection, but then you're clicking on the layer mask. Then you're gonna go to your paintbrush, your brush tool. So it's on white. So white is gonna take off the blur. And that's what we want. We want to bring back the details. The same thing right here. You can always make your brush smaller This is a little bit harder picture just because it has a lot of tiny details with the chair, but I just wanted to show you guys how to do that. So this is taking off the blur off of her and the edges. So let's say that you want to add blur, kind of like right here. So right here, this was all in focus, but maybe we want the grass to be blurred. So we go back, we make this a little bigger, maybe the brush, and then we're gonna change the color to black, and the black is gonna turn this into blur. And the same thing, you can always adjust on your brush the size, the opacity, the flow. If you don't want it to be too harsh, you can always lower it. There you go. So then I will do that to the whole picture. And once I'm done, then I'll move on to editing other stuff, maybe the color, taking off a little bit of the stray hairs on her forehead, just little things, or if not, you can just leave it like that. Alright, so I'm gonna finish doing this whole photo, and when I'm done, I will show you a before and after. Of the blur and not the blur, but just briefly right here so you can get an idea. So then without and with, but I'll show you once I'm done.